So like for people that don't know, my uncle, his name is Mark O'Halloran. Mark has written a lot of film and TV. He's an actor as well, and I love his stuff. I think he is really like, he's sort of like an Irish treasure. You know, if he's not heard of in the States, he really is like well known in Ireland. And I think it happened for me when I entered a competition which was being run by Beth Morrison Projects, which is like an independent opera company in New York. And I'd sort of been progressing through rounds of this competition, and I had gotten as little bit of money to write a monodrama, like a 30-minute monodrama. And I honestly like just didn't have money to pay a librettist. So I was like, I'll write the libretto myself. You know, how hard can it be? You know, that sort of like when you're so ignorant about how things work that you're super confident, and then you're like, oh god, I've really bitten off more than I can chew. But I was trying to think of like an interesting topic for this opera, and I remember seeing a really short play that my uncle had written called Mary Motorhead, and it took place in, I don't know if you were in Dublin, if you got to go to Bewley's Cafe, but there's like a very
Mm.
it's kind of in the very center of Dublin, on Grafton Street, which is like the famous kind of like
I did go
commercial
there.
shopping district.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bewley's have this theater, like a teeny, teeny, tiny theater, on the second or third floor, where at lunchtime, like you can get like soup and some brown bread, and you go up and you'll sit down and you're slurping your soup, but you're watching a play. Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
so that's where I saw Mary Motorhead, and it was really like the woman who played it, Mary, was like fierce, and I just was like, wow, this would be so cool if I adapted that. So I asked Mark, I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I know you're busy, can I like just use your play and adapt it? And he just wrote back and was like, yeah, here you go. So he gave me his play, and like I made the libretto out of that myself. And I think maybe in spending time with his words, I was like, gosh, like he doesn't speak in flowery language. It's like simple, it's direct, it's easy to sing, and there's space for music, but also there's a poetry to it, and it just kind of hits you hard in really unexpected ways. And I was like, wow, this is actually brilliant. So I think when I got the opportunity to do a larger piece, I asked Mark if we could adapt a different play, a longer play that he had written, into an opera, and if he would do it. And Mark is, it's funny because like people are like, what's it like working with your uncle? But like I don't know Mark that well, because my dad's side of the family, there was like 10 children. And also like Mark was always traveling with work, or busy. So like, you know, I'd see him every so often and be kind of in awe of him, as the only artist in the family.
Yeah.
But you know, we really didn't know each other that well. So when we got to work together on trade, it was just sort of, he was like, I don't know, is this an opera? And I was like, I don't know, like let's just make this thing together. And it was it was very like without ego, and he was like, you know, if you need to cut a line, cut a line. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was really beautiful, and he was sort of like, this is your thing now, like, so you do your thing, like, so it was very just trusting, and a very sweet process actually.
Has your relationship with him evolved because of this, or is he still kind of like, I don't know, the mysterious uncle that you never really see?
I think Mark is always a little bit mysterious. Like do you know, it's funny, like he's just after, there's a new show coming out with Julianne Moore called Mary and George, I think. And Mark is in it as this, like starring alongside Julianne Moore as Sir Francis Bacon. Like he kind of just writes plays and films and stuff, and he jets around the place, and when I see him it's great. And you know, we have the shared history of his father is my grandfather, you know, like that sort
Yeah.
of thing, and he knows my dad obviously. So we have like kind of a good shared history, and we'll have nice moments, but then I won't see him for like a year or two, so it's interesting. Yeah, but we are working together. Like he wrote a play in 2021, and he asked me to write the music for it, which I was actually kind of shocked. I was like, okay, cool. And I've asked him now, do you want to make that into an opera? So I think we'll continue to work together.
It's always amazing how those threads kind of unravel, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Were you interested early on in writing an opera, or is that something that came about because of this opportunity through Beth Morrison projects?
Yeah, like I honestly I think I didn't really love opera up
I'm with
until
you.
that point.
See, that's why I'm like interested in this question because
Yeah,
I no offense to the opera lovers, but I can't stand opera. So
that's kind of how I feel. Yeah, it was like look, I don't think in a creative life can you really like plan things out, and I
yeah,
feel like my life has been like a series of stumbling into things and then figuring out maybe I like them or whatever. So when I saw this call for scores from Beth Morrison projects, for one, I actually didn't know who they were, but I was like finishing my studies in university and I was like, oh man, I gotta like pad out my CV. Like, I'm gonna like apply to this thing. So like I kind of found myself in this world where I'm like, oh, okay, so like a director like helps with the thing, and then the lights tell a different part of the story, and staging makes something really cool too. And then I was like, oh, you can really do a lot when you've got words, like you can layer a lot of meaning in the music that can do like really cool things like be sarcastic or just show that someone's lying. And I was like, this is probably everything I've wanted to do and I've been doing but without words. And now I get the chance to do it. So it's really, and like I love being in a room with other people. Like I love listening to like a director pull stuff out of the singers and the actors, where you're discovering more about the piece itself through the conversation. Like I
yeah.
love that sort of nerdy, like what does this line mean to you and what does this line mean to you, and that's really exciting. That's my favorite part, actually. I don't like. I'd rather just be in the rehearsal room for the month beforehand, and I don't really want to see the show on the stage because it's too stressful.
Yeah, no, I get that. The collaborative process is definitely
Yeah.
more fun than sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
And also I just got to say because I was expressing my displeasure for opera. That's like a Verdi and Puccini thing, right? Like the
Mhm.
stuff that you and contemporary opera composers are doing is way different than what I think a lot of people think of when they think of opera, right?
Absolutely. And there's so many new exciting composers writing opera now. Like there's a lot of really, really cool stuff, and I think I've my eyes have been open to it, and I try and catch as much of it as I can now. So it's for sure. It's very different than the woman gets murdered, everybody sings,
Yeah.
curtain call kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
weird racist stuff. Yeah, right.
yeah, like yeah, don't love that.
Yeah, that's not good. Thank you so much for tuning in to Micromaker by Loose Leaf Transmissions. We hope you enjoyed this brief glimpse into the inner workings of the creative life. If this resonated with you, be sure to check out the full conversation on Music Maker with Tyler Kline, a podcast exploring craft and process, philosophy and inspiration, and the honest, often messy parts of being an artist, creative uncertainty, purpose and identity, and resilience. You can find Music Maker wherever you get your podcasts or by visiting musicmakerpodcast.com.